All right, this is another episode of Meet the Collaborators. It's me, Wes Anderson, as usual. JR Gregory.
What's brother?
Man. So we just laid some bass tracks on my single called Keep Them Talking. By the time you hear this, this will be in your ear holes, hopefully. How do you feel about it, man?
Stoked, man.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to get back into playing music again.
Yeah.
A little bit of a hiatus.
So for the people out there that don't know JR, and if you don't, shame on you, but JR has been the longtime bassist for the band Ballyhoo, who I've worked with Howie and Donald and all the other members. So yeah, man, talk about that. Ballyhoo, now you're back on your own, and
yeah,
happy to have you back on the track, man, and making music. I think a lot of people are going to be excited to hear your work.
Thanks, man. I'm excited to do it again. Thanks to you for calling me up for it. Just
no doubt.
Giving an opportunity to get things going and to pull these things off the wall and not have them just
beautiful
be
pieces
ornaments.
of wood.
So, yeah, man. It's just I had a little bit of a hiatus of playing and I just needed to step away for a little bit. But now it's all coming back around. It's crazy.
Sounds like it, man. For sure.
And one of the best outlets is music, and with the craziness I've gone through life the past couple years, it's like, oh yeah, I've got music. I can do this, and I forget about everything that's happening around me. It's awesome.
Ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. So, and the fingers still work. It comes right back.
Yeah.
And it's fun to break out my recording equipment again. That stuff was all stashed up on the shelves, my monitors, my interfaces, and now because of you, Mr. Wes Anderson, it's all back out again.
Damn.
And it's just
what an honor.
It's awesome. The process is happening again, and it's just a lot of fun. It's great.
Yeah,
and it's a good time.
At the end of the day, you just gotta have fun.
Yeah, you just gotta have fun, man. And it's a really good time. It's a great way to stay in shape.
Well, it's cool, and for those that are watching, you were one of the first dudes that befriended me, because I moved to Maryland to join my old band, Fiction 20 Down, 7 years ago now, and I lived I close here at Jordan's parents' place, and you were one of the dudes that let's go hang out, let's grab beers.
Yeah.
And I've always appreciated that. So the fact that we now have a song together and can create art together is just fucking amazing. And I've always been a fan of Ballyhoo and your work, so that was always something I appreciated. Moving to somewhere new is always tough.
No, definitely. And originally met you up in your hometown up in Chicago, and hang out and talk.
Yeah.
Before and after shows, and then found out you were moving down here, and then you're right across the street. Yeah, let's hang out, man. Let me show you the area a little bit.
Yeah, small world, dude. Yeah. For sure, man.
And now you're a Baltimore resident.
I paid way too many taxes.
Yeah.
For Baltimore residents. But yeah, man, it's been so cool seeing you in Ballyhoo. I saw you guys the first time in 2008 opening for 311 in Columbus.
That's right.
I was in college then. And then I think I saw you guys again at Powwow. And then Chicago. Every time you came through Chicago, for sure. That was the first time I met Howie, too, when you guys were on tour with Pepper and Expendables, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that tour?
I do. Actually, I remember.
Do you remember it?
I remember a bit of that tour because, for some reason, I decided to just kind of go sober that tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it figures, we get on a tour with, a couple big bands that have nice tour buses, and they always have nice booze and tons of good stuff on them. They're wanting to make cocktails every night, and you're like, want one, Jam? I'm like, no, man, I'm not drinking. Just... Really? I think it was wherever we were at that point. We had a tour beforehand or something where just, I don't know. Remember what year it was? Was it 2010, 2011 around?
So
there?
I think when I saw that tour, which was you, Expendables, and Pepper, was right around Daydreams. I think it was in support of Daydreams, which would have been 2011.
Yeah,
I think it was 2011.
All right, and I guess we just had been partying pretty hard.
Probably,
for a long time, and I just decided on that tour. I think because we were touring with a bigger band.
That was.
I wanted to
that was
be
House
in
of
a
Blues,
pretty
Chicago.
clean mental state.
Yeah.
Throughout it to make the most of it, but then, you're on tour and everybody else just wants to party.
Yeah.
So I'm I'll probably fit in better and do better if I just party too. I did well for a little while, but I'm pretty sure I started drinking later on in the tour.
Yeah. That's commendable. You're playing that tour. I saw you guys at the House of Blues So I mean, you're playing good theaters, good venues. So
Oh yeah, yeah,
obviously you want to be on point and want to,
yeah. I really wanted to.
you don't want to slack off. And that was like when Daydreams came out, which in my opinion is one of the best records Ballyhoo has put out.
Thanks. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
It's a good record, man. And they've still been putting out good records too. But yeah. So this song we have is fucking combination of a lot of styles.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's called "Keep Them Talking." It's with Marlon Asher. So have you done stuff with like other bands too, like since Ballyhoo or like?
Not much. Yeah, I have. I did a project.
Meager Kings is a band.
Yeah,
I'm
with
friends
Howard,
with, yeah.
who's Howard was working with. For some reason, their bass player just got the boot during the recording session.
Really?
So Howie called me up and was like, "Hey, you want to come play some bass?" I said, "Sure, sounds great." And it's because that was like the first time that like get my bass back out again was like when I did that with him, and it was a fun process. It made me realize how much I missed what aspects of what I was doing playing music, because it's just it had been a while. It's been a while. Now I'm like it's starting to come back and like getting the itch again. Like, oh yeah, I should really be playing music.
That's cool, man. The Meager Kings are cool dudes. I did shows with them in Put-in Bay Island in Ohio a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing more like the cover band stuff, but it was like them, me, and DJ Soulman. So we did some cool shit. But it was Kid Rock was in town for like Bash at the Bay.
Yeah,
and it was a tough crowd. It was a tough
Oh,
crowd.
you mean the Kid Rock fans weren't just all over, the other rock reggae and stuff?
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah.
But
play some Scared Man.
oh, that was tough. That was tough. But it
with the ball, the dang diggy upset, but yeah, something like that.
So who are some of your favorite bassists? Like when did you get started into bass, and then
like my first like bass player that really like caught my ear, that I was like, damn, this guy's doing some really cool stuff, not just like the normal what somebody would think a bass player would do, was Robert DeLeo from Stone Temple Pilots.
He is such an underrated bassist, man.
They're an underrated duo, but him and his brother,
Yeah,
Robert
the DeLeo brothers.
Yeah, phenomenal, man. And like when I started really listening to his bass lines, I was like, yeah, you can play cool bass lines in rock.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd listen to Zeppelin, but I never like listened to it like focusing on John Paul Jones. Just it was all just everything in Zeppelin. But then it was like I said, the first bass player was him to really stand out.
Yeah.
He's
really good,
grunge,
man.
And that was that. And of course, I mean, you got like, of course, there's always like Flea and Les Claypool as standards.
Yeah.
I mean, just the guys that are frontmen in a way on the bass player. Like I never really like try to play like Les Claypool. Like
good luck.
I like what he does, but it's not the approach or style that I would contribute to a song.
Right.
It's just my brain doesn't function on the level that he's at. I'm trying to think after that. It was like I went through a whole phase of like jazz and funk and all that. I mean, of course, Peanut, of course, was always an influence on me. I remember hearing "Don't Stay Home," on the radio. I was like, "What the hell is this stuff?" And I was like, "311, who's that? I gotta check this album out." And then I had to like give it to like Howard and Donald and everybody's like, "Dude, you gotta check these guys out, man."
So people are aware. You are the reason that you introduced 311 to the Ballyhoo guys.
I did.
Damn, dude.
And I don't know if they liked it at first. I can't remember.
That's a hot take. You'll
have to let me know, because I mean, maybe I'm getting the story wrong, but I'm pretty sure like guys like, you guys gotta check this out.
I mean, and, what's crazy is like "Don't Stay Home" was
but I think that's how it went down.
Yeah, man, that's crazy, man. Because "Don't Stay Home" was actually the first single that they released from Blue Album. And I don't think it did too well.
But it was like
then they did Down.
We used to have an alternative station around here, 99.1, and it
HFS?
was different. HFS. And at that time, grunge was big, and of course, like the new metal was happening and all that. And I really wasn't in it. I was still into Pearl Jam, Blind Melon, Soundgarden, and all that. But then that song would come on once in a while, and it would catch my ear. Of course, you didn't have Shazam or anything the way you look up what the hell they're playing. I'm like, who is this? What this thing's like? This is totally different than anything that's out there. And then found out who it was and discovered a Blue Album. And then, oh, wait a minute, they got albums before this one, too.
Grassroots.
And then heard Grassroots, and it was just like, oh, yeah. And then music, too. And, but yeah, I mean, of course, Peanut. And then, I'm trying to think of some of the other guys. Like, I don't know names too well. Like, of course, there's like the go-to guys like Willie Weeks or James Jamerson, like the guys from the from the Motown, from Stax Records.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Yeah, no
like,
doubt, yeah.
when you really dive into those, like the songs you just hear on the radio all the time that you've always heard, and
Yeah, but
all this, but then when you like dive into the deeper cuts and you start
Yeah.
really hearing what these guys are doing, man, you're like, yeah, you know, there is a lot of good bass players out there. Like, I mean, most of the stuff on your radio, you're not going to hear like standout bass lines and stuff.
No.
It just doesn't fit the format for what's on the radio.
They're out there.
But once you start diving into it and looking for the deep cuts and looking for other stuff, then you just like, okay, there's some really cool bass players out there. Or actually, in fact, there's a lot of really good bass
Yeah,
players.
no doubt. And one of the bands that you introduced me to, who is now crushing it, is Wolfpack.
Oh man, those
Dude, they just sold out
Madison
Madison Square Garden, man.
yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
And they all have offshoots of all their
Yeah,
own
side
projects. Corey
projects.
Long, Mike Dirk or
Yeah, yeah.
the bass player, and it's wild. Like I heard about them before they went viral because they made a silent album
yeah.
that played
Yeah,
to
I heard about that,
Spotify's algorithms.
Yeah.
So they were just getting money off of nothing,
Yeah.
off the music, and they eventually got shut down. But that gave them a lot of notoriety in the business world because all the blogs were writing about this band that did this. But then when people actually went and listened, like, oh, these guys are badass.
Yeah.
And I mean, funk's been going around, but there hasn't really been an uptick in stuff. But like with them, and then like Snarky Puppy making like ground up music, like they blew up. And that's another group where it's just all the musicians are amazing. They all just break off and do their own Grammy Award-winning stuff. But they started the ground up label. So all these artists, especially like Charlie Hunter and other ones I used to like back in the day, they were kind of not lost in their way, but just were making a long touring. But now because of ground up music has built that whole kind of jammy, like funk, jazz
Fusion.
genre up for younger people now. Like, I mean, like you said, Wolfpack, a quirky funk band selling out Red Rocks and Madison Square Garden. It's like,
insane.
they're a bunch of nerds, but they're badass. Like, you know, they're so good at what they do.
Yeah, I saw an article on a Billboard magazine. They didn't even put $1 into advertising for Madison Square Garden, and they sold it out. Just
so it's like when people nowadays, especially like I'm just talking to people work with or wherever, they're like, man, there's no good music anymore. There's no good music out there. So that's because you're just listening to one or two radio stations. There is tons of good music.
Oh, more than ever.
You just gotta find it.
Yeah.
And I mean, thanks Spotify for their algorithms because my weekly playlist that comes up.
Same, man.
And like that's how I discovered the psychedelic porn crumpets, man. Was that
which you introduced to me, which is now my favorite band of 2019, man.
Yeah,
like
these guys are badass, and they've been selling out their United States tour, like
yeah,
small venues, but they've been
psychedelic porn crumpets.
Yeah, man. So it's like, and that's the other thing, man. I used to work at a independent record store around here called Record and Tape Traders, and one of my favorite things was recommending new music to people. Like I had regulars come in to ask me what's new, what's cool,
really,
something different.
That's so cool.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, check this out. You know, I found this and everything, and like, I love finding new music and knowing who to recommend it to.
Yeah.
Like, although I sent the album. Normally Scott and I will Scott from Ballyhoo, Blaze. Sorry, excuse me. We'll exchange like music that we find and albums, and I sent him one. It was I guess I was on a weird kick at one point, and I recommended him the new King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard album, and Scott was probably like, "What the fuck, JR? What is this you sent me?" Because when I realized after I sent it and I listened to it, I was like, "Yeah, that's really quirky." I thought maybe it'd be like a cool quirky, but I was like, "No." Scott's probably like, "What the hell is this?" You know. But then I think I followed it up with. It might have been the psychedelic porn crumpets or something else that was like much better. I was like, don't listen to what I don't. Please excuse my last strikeout on the recommendation, and here try this one out. But yeah, like I've never.
You have a good pulse for what's good.
Thanks, man. I've never been one to really listen to mainstream music, like pop, just anything popular on the radio and stuff. I mean, the most mainstream stuff I listened to was grunge.
Yeah.
But it was good. It's good rock and roll.
It was
good stuff. And like, but when like Creed or Limp Bizkit and stuff came along, I never got into it. Yeah. I mean, I like Limp Bizkit and like Linkin Park now. When I go and revisit it and like listen to it, I can gain a much more of appreciation for the riffs and the stuff they're doing. But back then, man, I wanted to do nothing. When I was trying to find stuff that wasn't on the radio. I was trying to find just the out there things, and I've been lucky enough to find a lot of that. And working in a record store really helped out a lot because we were allowed to listen to whatever CDs we want in the store.
Yes, that's so cool because like that's like sounds like at that time was the transition of old school record to digital and Napster and
yeah, it was before
Spotify, Pandora, and all
not to
that
age
stuff.
myself, but it was like I think I was working there in 98, 99. Like it was
Yeah,
before,
so
it was
that's literally the crux of the transition.
I remember going down to my girlfriend at the time who went to University of Maryland, and they had a T1 data line there into their dorm, so it had Napster. So it's like I'd go down there and burn CDs all day,
Yeah,
and it was awesome.
On the Memorex.
Yeah, and so that I remember finding stuff. So then I could get all these different albums I hadn't heard before, and yeah, man, just it's always. Like I said, there's tons of good music.
Yeah,
Wes Anderson's music. So
well, that's so cool, man, and that's why I love working with people like you and the other collaborators I have because there is so much more good music out there. And not only that, there's like other collaborators like to work with that can make better music, and it's a good time to be a musician, I think.
Yeah, I agree, man. Definitely. I mean,
like an independent musician. I should clarify. Like,
it's not a good time to try to be on a big record label.
No, like
doesn't happen.
not at all, man.
And if it does, it's just going to be something pop and polished and made. It's not going to be anything homegrown.
But if you're good and you play your cards right and you have a good business sense, like you can put yourself out there and maybe not make a lot of money, but like you can put your stuff out there more now than ever before.
Yeah, and you'll finally get to move out of the cardboard box you're living in, Wes. I seen you down in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Hey Wes, what's up? Oh man, just hanging out. Got me a new cardboard box.
Yeah. Be more living is tough.
You're looking at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? He doesn't live in a box. He has got a nice swanky apartment on the 22nd floor. It's got a nice view. I seen it.
It's not bad. All right, so J.R. Gregory, man. What a pleasure to fucking finally get a song together, man.
Yeah, man.
We've been friends for a long time now, and finally get a song together is nothing short of an honor. And the song is called Keep Them Talking. It's got Marlon Asher, King Green from Red Gold Green in D.C. Check out Red Gold Green. They're a dope band. Donald Spangler on drums from his band. Ballyhoo, produced with me, Nate Lanzino, Duke Sims from Shinobi Ninja. Just a whole gang of members on this one, but it's the best one yet, I think.
Nice. Oh, yeah, man.
So, cheers. Peace.